Boom. And we are live with another episode of the Brown Water Banter podcast, digital. My name is Jared Seymour.
My name is Joey Cates.
That's right. And we got a great show for you. Artist out of Florida goes by the name of Travis Luther. He's doing all kind of cool stuff. He's painting all different types of fish, saltwater, scenery, really cool stuff on the cool stuff like Yeti coolers. He's got some paintings, some regular artwork, doing a lot of cool things, man. We're going to join in with us in a minute. We're going to talk to him about how he got started. But before we do that, you know what we always have to do? We have to thank the people that keep the lights on for us, even on the digital studios here. Right out of the gate, Dr. Robbie Williams over at Southern Magnolia Smiles, man. If you're looking for a great local dentist, they are located on Washington Avenue in Ocean Springs. You can look them up on the socials at Southern Magnolia Smiles. 2025 is a year to brush your teeth. So when you're ready to book that consultation, tell them Brown Water sent you and give them a shout at 228-215-1202. If you need legal representation, Taylor & Cox Law Firm is right here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and they are ready to defend you. Felonies, misdemeanors, DUI, family law, divorce, child custody, you name it. Tyler right here. He'll fight tooth and nail for you, for yourself, or anybody you know. You need to book a consultation with him. Give him a shout, 228-696-0111, and tell him Brown Water sent you. If you're trying to get back moving around and active again, feeling better, prioritizing your health, Forever Young Men and Women's Health is the one for you. Look him up on Facebook. Kendrick right here in the photo. He's doing really cool things. He's extremely knowledgeable. He's got a lot of testimonial videos, or informational videos, I should say, on his Facebook page. Their motto is bringing medicine, health, and exercise together to help men and women live their best lives. Let him do some lab work on you. See if you're vitamin deficient, hormone deficient. Let him get you fully optimized to get back out, moving around, back in the gym, or just overall feeling better. So book a consultation with him. You can give him a call at 228-363-6623. They specialize in testosterone replacement for men and women. So bring your lady friend and start feeling better. Tell them the Brown Water sent you as well. Still sharing, aren't you, Joey?
Yep. Go ahead.
All right, we're going to bring Travis in while Joey continues to spread the good word here. Let's see. Travis, man, what's up?
What's happening? Welcome.
Yeah, man.
Welcome
Thanks
to the
for
studio.
jumping on with us here today. We appreciate it. I was scrolling through your Facebook page earlier. Joey set this episode up. So I'm very new to you and your artwork. So like I say, I was on your Facebook page earlier today, and dude, you are doing some cool killer stuff, heavily outdoor themed, which I love. And I don't know that I know anybody else that's putting on Yeti coolers. That seems pretty unique to me. I don't know. I haven't seen it before, and it looks badass. So my first question to you is how did you get your start in art, man? And where do you get your talent from?
Oh gosh. So I guess that goes all the way back to just being a kid. Like I've always done art since I was little, and then all the way up till kind of growing up. And I really thought I was gonna pursue like a medical career, and I started on the path to that. Ended up working in a locked psychiatric unit for about 8 years. So the only thing I could bring on the unit was like either a pen and paper or pencil and paper. And all that stuff had to be signed in and signed out and kept track of.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time overnight, like just sketching and kind of like just, I don't know, keeping myself busy, especially over long night shifts, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So but there's tons of little like veer offs and backstories on each body of work that I do. So I haven't, I don't really have a full on heart set single body of work. I tend to bounce around and kind of pick up new mediums and new canvases.
Yeah, I guess that keeps it interesting for you, huh? Rather than just always on canvas or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you drew your whole life. That's kind of been a consistent theme throughout your life.
Yeah. And then I went to during high school, and this is actually, I'm not proud of it, but it's still funny. I failed art class in high school, and not like I'm actual like F fail. Like I think I slept through it a lot. I wasn't there. It wasn't in my mind. I was not having the high school scene. I didn't like it. I wanted to be off campus. I wanted to be fishing. I spent a ton of time skateboarding. So like, that was my focus, and high school kind of took a back seat. And then once that ended, I thought, okay, I need to find a job that's going to be a forever job. And what better thing to pick than healthcare? And soon after realized I hated that, and art took over.
Yeah, I work in healthcare. I can relate. It can be a grind from time to time. It can be rewarding as well, but 12-hour shifts. I never worked in a psych unit. I have been like rotations through psych, but never worked there full times. But that can be interesting.
Yeah.
So for sure. So after the healthcare stint, did you go right into art, like full time?
So somewhat, yes. So when I was doing the healthcare thing, when I was at the first hospital, when I was doing psych, I was basically just sketching, and then got introduced to a guy that painted. Kind of started talking to him. He introduced me to painting, and that's where things kind of started to go. Okay, art is more of a thing I'm interested in than healthcare, and I was doing it on the side. So I'd get off work, and when I got out of psych, I immediately came to a closer hospital here to home. Started working there, and I was working 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. So I'd get home at 3 a.m. from working in the ER. I'd either go to the bridge and snook fish, which was right up the road from the hospital, or I'd come home and paint until like 5 or 6 in the morning just to decompress. Like I needed a way to decompress. I needed something to like take all of that shift's madness, especially ER and psych and things like that, and just kind of decompress it and get me to calm down and then go to sleep and get ready for the next day. So
What were you doing healthcare wise? What was your role?
I started out as like CNA, and then I moved into like EMT. I had to do the EMT to work in ER, and that kind of was where I was like planning on going to do my RN and doing all that. And I just got to a point like my first 2 or 3 years in, I was like, this is not for me. Like, I hate this. I hate being told when I have to be here. I hate answering emails. I hate, like showing up to meetings on my day off or like having to call in. Like it was a nightmare. I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to pick when I was working and when I was fishing. I didn't want anybody telling me what to do.
Yeah.
Hey, we
I
can
hear you.
relate, huh, Joey?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you mentioned snook. You a Florida boy through and through, born and raised in Florida?
I was I was born and raised. I was born in I like to say Pearson, but the only hospital close by was D-Land. So I spent a lot of my childhood years in D-Land, Florida. Went to high school there. Went to all my school grade stuff there. And then after my parents split, my dad ended up moving beachside. So I spent a lot of time in Ormond Beach, Flagler Beach. But I've always, my entire life, I've been in either Volusia or Flagler County. Like, there's no reason for me to leave. I love it here. Like, there's nothing in the world that I desire more than being right here.
Yeah. Yeah. What got you into fishing? Just
My
living
dad.
the life. Your dad.
And
Yeah.
so my dad passed about 9 years ago. He passed a week after my daughter was born. So that was like a really weird time for me. But I remember growing up and like dad and I would have our weekends like after my parents split, and I would come to his house every other weekend, and Friday night would be like battle bots, Chinese food, and then stay up as late as we can. And then he'd wake me up in the morning, you know, crack of dawn and say, hey, we're going fishing. So we spent a lot of time. My dad was a big time live bait fisherman. It was live shrimp on a J hook with, 10-pound mono, and that entered me into the world. And the cool thing about it is it's kind of like a hindsight retrospect thing. Is I always remember him being like excited to catch a redfish. And of course on bait, it was always a surprise. It was, what do you got until it gets next to the boat? And now I'm at a point in my fishing career, especially with fly fishing, where we're sight fishing and we're watching these fish behave, and we're not even making a cast until that happens. And that's one of the things I think about is like, God, being able to share that with him would be nuts. But
Yeah. What a cool memory.
yeah.
Talking about your dad there. Are you're sight fishing for redfish or fly fishing, I should say, for redfish? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so probably over the past 10 years, I got introduced into some fly fishing. There was a fly shop in St. Augustine. So I used to go hang out there and actually hang my artwork in the fly shop. My buddy was the manager there, and that's how we met and started fishing together and doing that. And he kind of pushed me into doing my first commission work. So at the time, I had started painting fish, like, and I was doing like splattery backgrounds, and I was still getting my feet wet trying to figure out what I was doing. So I was painting these splattery backgrounds, and then I started. I saw another buddy of ours had caught like a redfish, and he was holding it up. So like I cropped it to where it was like just his chest and his hands and the background, and I started painting people holding their fish. And that was really where the ball started rolling. And so I went into the shop one day and my buddy Luke was working, and he's like, hey, a guy came in and asked if you could paint him holding his fish. And I was like, dude, I don't want to do commission work. I just want to paint what I want to paint and do my own thing. I was really like, the whole thought of commission work was like scared to me. Like it was a whole world of like, it just seemed like a nightmare. And
Like
so
a
a few
job,
days
maybe,
later,
huh?
yeah. And like,
Another
I always
job.
wanted to separate them. So he calls me up one day and he's like, hey, that guy came back. I told him you charge $500 to paint his fish. And I was like, I was pissed. Like, I was like, you can't tell people this. And so that's kind of where it started. I painted the guy holding his fish and then started doing that. And then eventually, like, that whole like cropping the head out thing kind of went to the wayside. And like the first few I did were really tough. And there was like there's a really nasty story about like a lady I had a hard time with. But that's where that kind of extended. And that was the beginning of me doing my work full time and leaving the hospital. That's where it all kind of like came to fruition, all within that like 2-year period.
With the when the guy said $500, was that obviously he spoke when you said no, he said yes, but is that the number you would have given the guy, or was that way higher than you would have thought you could have got?
Oh, that was way higher. I was I was hoping to get like $150 for a painting, and that was like non-commissioned,
Right.
But of course times change and values go up. So
Oh yeah, for sure. But I'm like you, like $500. That's a lot of money. Like that's good to paint it.
yeah.
I don't know what it takes time wise to do that. I have no clue. But yeah, I deal with that or hear about that a lot. Like you don't know how to value yourself, like price wise, when you do things, whether that's painting or any number of things people can do. And a lot of times, good people like undervalue themselves because they don't really realize what their talent is worth.
It does. I kind of have a thing I go by, and everyone goes, well, you how much time you took to do it, and then you divide that, and then materials. And I've never ever done that. I've always based my work value off of like A, demand, and B, how I feel about it. And I guess as an artist, right, I can't put a dollar value on something I want unless I have an attachment to it. So I kind of tell other artists when they ask me like, how do you value your work? And I'm like, well, come up with a price, start there. And even if you're undervaluing yourself, start there. And then after you do a painting or two and you sell it, and you sell that one piece that you're like, damn, I didn't want to sell it for that much. I wanted to sell it for a little more. Change your price then.
Yeah.
Then you go, okay, I hit that milestone to where I felt wrong about selling that piece for $200. I need to go up to $400 or, whatever. That's when then I don't feel bad about it the next one I sell. Then I'm like, okay. And then once I do a few more pieces and I get that feeling again to where I'm like, my client got a really good deal on that, now it's time for the next people like to pay the next price.
Keep chipping away.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about that too. It's like just like what you said, like come up with a price and then gauge the demand that's there and then balance that price out with the demand, because it's kind of like, would you rather do 10 paintings for $100, or 2 paintings for $500, right? Like, how do you want to value your time? How, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
I guess what I'll say to that is yes, but even as an artist, like you can look at your own work and go, was I fair charging that? Right. So if your work is, let's say we're at a certain dollar value, and then you raise your prices and your work doesn't continue to grow and get better, you kind of have to hold yourself accountable. Like, I'm still at this dollar range of artwork. That's just me. That's where I'm at. And sometimes you have to humble yourself. And just because demand's there doesn't mean your work reflects that and you can shoot for $1,000 price tags. So that's part of being kind of humble in your own work. So go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
So like with my 3D paintings, like this is my fine art body of work. This is like my pride and joy, is all these different pieces layered together, right? Sweet. And the first few ones I did were only 3 or 4 layers. And those values are going to stay at that. There's not many layers. But recently, I just finished a sheep's head painting that has like all the pilings. And that painting has over 60 individual pieces. I've put a lot more work into it. I put a lot more time. There's a lot more skill level in that. And that value's going up. So that's going to bring this value up a little bit. But I have a bigger painting at the shop. Like I have a big, I don't know, 48 by 36. That's priced less than the smaller sheep's head painting because it's less pieces, it's less work, even though it's bigger. The smaller
Gotcha.
piece has a lot more going on.
I guess what I would say to that is just say, for instance, if you created a piece of content that went viral on TikTok, right? And you instantly just overnight have orders just coming in one after the other, you would have to raise your price, even though the art hasn't changed, just because of an overwhelming demand. It's kind of the point I was trying to make. But I do understand what you're saying about quality as well. Can you unpack that picture behind you there, the 3D? Can you kind of the one to your left?
The permit.
Yeah, because there's two guys over here who can't draw a stick figure correctly. We don't understand what goes into even 3D, much less a regular painting.
So this body of work has actually evolved. The first one I ever did was in 2015, and I had this idea. So I build all the panels I paint on. So that's like the flat canvas in the back. And I was painting my 2D portrait work on that. And that's kind of what built my name and got me out of the hospital, is the portrait work, people holding their fish. But I wanted to do something more creative. So like painting people holding their fish was like bread, butter. This was something I could leave that, like, I don't know, less creative body of work. And this would allow me to be creative and create layers and do things. So the first ones I did, I flipped the panel over and I put the painting inside the back of the panel rather than on the front of it flat. And then kind of built my way out. Now I do it slightly differently, but I started adding these multiple layers, and I wanted to be like a flip book, like when you were a kid, you'd open a flip book and there were all different layers and stuff. So that's kind of where this stemmed. And each painting, sometimes I'll do like a foliage layer and then an underwater layer, a water line, a fish. And now the fish are starting to get 3D features that are popping off and doing a little more. That starts out as just a paper sketch. And it's like, where do I want to fish? Where do I want this? From the paper sketch, I pull it over into digital. I create a bunch of silhouettes. So each individual piece has to be created into a silhouette so the computer can read it. I'll do a little back rewind here. And the first 10 pieces in this body of work were all cut by hand with a jigsaw. And the first few permit I cut, like I broke these fins every time. I went through 3 or 4 sheets of wood trying to get that permit right and cut it with a jigsaw and keep it straight on the table. And after doing a few of those paintings, I was like, I want to be able to create little tiny details and stuff that you can't do with a jigsaw, stuff that you can't do. So I ended up investing in a CNC machine, and the CNC machine is kind of how I bring everything over and get these super tiny details and make sure I'm not wasting material. So like I can cut each individual fin, I can cut the water line, I can cut individual palm trees and things that go in there. I have one that's like mahi, and then it has the entire weed line. It has a triple tail in there. It has flying fish, and everything is separate pieces. All the weed line are separate pieces. All the flying fish are multiple pieces. All the mahi are multiple pieces. And that's what made that possible, is being able to cut those small details and not waste product in this meantime.
Yeah. What would you say time-wise you have on that permit behind you?
If I hustle, and this is going to hurt for people to hear, if I hustle and I do this entire painting, I can do this entire painting in 1 week. But with that word 1 week being out there, I want you guys to think about how much time I have during a day. Think about how much time you have at work doing what you do and how much you get done at work, whether you work in an office or whether you work on your feet. You do a lot in a day. So I'm at home. I have 8 to 12 to 16, sometimes 20 hours to do whatever I want. So the first day will be like the concept sketch and then getting the silhouettes done and then putting them in the computer. And all of that can take 6 or 7 hours. And then once all that's done, I'll take it out to the machine. And sometimes, like I just finished one up, it was a big redfish scene, and it had the entire back of it was pine trees. And I'm talking really tiny, I'm talking 16th inch wide, all the little details cut out. And just the machine time on that was 3.5 hours for the trees. So you're looking at 10 or 12 hours there, plus painting time. I can usually, on a piece like this, paint it over 2 days. The 2 days are day one, getting like a prep coat down, getting a solid color in the background. And then day two is just sitting down, detailing, putting it in front of me. Once that's done, I'll clear coat. Assembly takes one day, and framing I can do in the same day as assembly. So, if I plan it out all the way over a week, maybe, you can say 40 hours in a week to do it, somewhere in there, if I really, really put my nose to the grindstone.
Yeah. What are you, I'm guessing that's plywood that you're cutting?
So this is all 1/4-inch ply. So it's like the nice thin stuff. So this is still light and like wall hangable. I won't rip your drywall off.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I was like, you get that 3/4 pulling studs out of the wall.
Yeah.
Killer. So what's it been like for you transitioning out of like healthcare to now doing this full time? Is it still as exciting? Is it still fun? Like, how do you feel about that?
It's still just as exciting and fun. So basically what happened with the hospital was I was doing my portrait work. I booked up about 3 months before Father's Day, and I was booking a painting a week, and I was charging anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per painting. And I had a whole little system, like Monday through Wednesday, I was painting. Thursday, Friday, I was, framing and clear coating, or I was still painting if it was a bigger piece. And then by Monday, I would have next week's panel built, last week's painting framed, shipping Monday, starting the next painting Monday, and then doing the same routine over again. So when I was at the hospital, I don't know, I was making $14.50 an hour in the ER. And it finally got to a point to where it was like, if I'm going to struggle to, and live on a budget on my own, like, why am I going to answer to anyone else? So I booked up enough, and I started promoting my work more and more, and meeting more clients and booking them. So what I was doing is booking them 1 week at a time. And I had enough to kind of put me through. And I'm not going to lie, my wife does really well, so that helped as well. So that helped the transition period, and that got me on my feet to painting full time, and the portrait work really took off. And then the next stage in that is like 2020 rolled around, right? Then we had COVID. COVID scared the shit out of me. I was sorry about that. COVID scared me.
No, you're good.
I thought, hey, nobody's going to buy art. The economy's freaking out. People are freaking out. People are stuck at home. They don't know what to do. I'm going to have to go back to healthcare because nobody's going to buy art. And it was like the exact opposite happened. Everybody came out of the woodwork and was like, hey, I've been working like crazy. I haven't had time to contact you. I've been wanting to get a painting for like 2 years. What do you have available? And I did over 60 paintings in 2020. Like I was in full on hustle mode. And then as I kind of wore down and got burnt out on doing the portrait work and handling that, having the same routine every week, I picked up that CNC machine and started doing the 3D pieces. So that led to, and like I said, I've bounced over the years. I've gone from 2D work to, portrait work to 3D work to, I did coaster sets and rod racks for a long time. And when I first bought the CNC machine, I started cutting these little coasters. And it was basically like a fishtail, and then the coaster was on the inside. So they were big. I might have one. Hold on. Yeah. So this is where that started. And I would do drops on the weekend. So it was like a redfish tail and
coaster, that's cool.
And then I started doing the full sets. So it would be a full fish cut in 4 segments, and it'd be like a puzzle on the table. And when I first bought that machine, it was like a $5,000 machine, like when I bought it and put all my stuff in it. And from the day I bought that machine, and I got it in September, until October, like that thing paid for itself 4 or 5 times over. And when I tell you I did $20,000 in coasters in 4 months.
Wow.
Not bad.
Like, it was cool because I was dropping like 30 sets per weekend, and every weekend up until Christmas I was selling out. And then I started doing the rod racks. The rod racks led to wine racks, and then the 3D paintings were happening in between that. And then it's kind of progressed from there.
That's killer. When you said COVID, that was the first thing that went through my mind before you said how it actually went down for you. Was I was thinking, man, I remember, Academy, all outdoor stuff, anything to do with the outdoors was just, you couldn't get it. Bikes, because you couldn't buy a plane ticket. You couldn't book a hotel room. You couldn't do anything. So people had all this money, that they would have allocated towards other things that had to just go to like outdoors, going camping, parks like that. And I'm like, you're right in there. So yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that your business went, you were a COVID. Yeah. Perfect for COVID.
Well, I was surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, really, really. And I like to hear that what you said too about having a plan developed, right? Like, because that was going to be one of my questions, but you answered it, knowing how to transition from healthcare, which is like show up at this time, these are your days you work, you're off on this day, kind of that, you don't have to really plan once you get there, I guess, more or less, but knowing how to structure your week, stay on a schedule and be self-motivated enough to stick with it. You kind of seem like you just jumped right into that.
Yeah, it was a sink or swim thing. But the cool thing was like my wife was super supportive. I 100% hands down, like 100% credit to her because I got to a point in healthcare where I was like, I'm getting burnt out. I'm getting tired of this. And she was doing well with what she was doing, and I was like, hey, what do you think about this? And she's like, leave. She's like, if you're making this doing this, it's slightly more than you're making at the hospital, so you might as well just cut the cord and see how it goes. So she was super supportive in that. She helps me kind of plan the weeks out, help me run my schedule, help me take deposits and do things like that. So it worked out good.
Yeah, if I sat at home, there's no way I'm getting anything done. So you got that worked out, it looks like.
Not every day it's not it's not what you think. There's days when the tides are right that I'm like,
today could be my Saturday.
Yeah, we can wait.
Yeah,
real quick.
Yeah, that's cool, and that kind of answers the question too, like of do you like it better? Because a lot of people think sometimes, I don't want to go work for a company or whatever because I don't want to be told what to do. I'm going to do my own thing. But then you just realize like you're just trading them telling you what to do for your business or your clients, or, you having to tell you what to do. But it's cool to hear that you still are loving it, even though you're in that situation, right?
I think the thing that keeps me loving it is that I'm not doing the same thing all the time. I've always transitioned my work. I always thought of, doing something like if I got to a point where I was burnt out with something, I started thinking of new ideas or started asking people about other ideas. And it's usually family members, bounce it off them and be like, hey, what do you think of this? And so moving from surface to surface, whether it was the rod racks or whether it was the coaster sets or 3D work or 2D work, and like I'll still bounce between those and do them occasionally. Like I'll still do a 2D piece once in a while if I'm asked to, depending on if I'm interested in doing it or not. And then the 3D work I'm absolutely in love with, and then the bags are just bread and butter. That's something that this sprung from a client, and God, I can't even explain to you how that whole panned out. That was really fun. He's been a super supportive dude too.
Well, that was my next question, was how
Let's
you got
into it.
Yeah, how did you get into the Yeti stuff? That's the first thing that caught my eye out of everything you got, which it's all great. But I was like, damn, look what he's doing with these coolers.
I'm gonna give it to you the way I haven't given it publicly before. I'm gonna explain this. This is gonna be my first time. This is gonna be my first time explaining this correctly, whether you're in the faith or you're not. Here it is, cut and dry, first public, telling you people how it works. I have a really good client of mine. He's been with me since before 2018. If you went to his house, you'd think I lived there. He's got 2D work. He's got 3D work. He's got coaster sets. He's got yellowfin and bluefin tuna rod racks in his garage that hold all his offshore stuff. He's got my only 3D coffee table. He's got another 2D coffee table that I completely built the whole thing and put artwork in the middle of it. Coaster sets around the house. Like when you go into his house, like it is my
He's
gallery.
A super fan. Yeah, he's a super fan.
He is a super supporter. And over the past, I don't know, since 2018, so almost 10 years now, he's basically become family. We fished in the Keys together. I've tarpon fished with him. We've fished in Beaufort together. We meet up every year. He gets a painting from me every year. I'm on the phone with him 2, maybe 3 times a week, just shooting the shit. Like he stayed the night at my house. I've stayed the night at his house. We've shared family dinners together, and he's always been a huge supporter of my work. So he came to me one day a few years ago. It was right before Christmas. I think it was 2 years ago. It's right around 2 years is what I've been doing these bags, a year and a half, something like that. And he says, hey, I want you to paint my backpack. And I'm like, okay, sounds funny. you know, nothing sticks, right? Like if this was possible, somebody would be doing it. And he's like, I don't care, just do it. I painted his bag like 3 days before Christmas, and I painted striped bass on the backpack. It was really cool. I tried like all my paints and like my artist grade stuff, and thought it was really cool. Put it to the side. I immediately went to Ace Hardware and I bought 2 more Yeti bags from them, and they were like the Camino ones. I painted a redfish and a tarpon. All 3 of those bags within days peeled, like instantly. Like you could hit them with an air hose and the paint would just explode and blister off and just shatter everywhere. So I called him back and I was like, hey, I was like, this isn't going to work. Like your bag's going to peel. And he's like, well, do you think you can figure it out? And I'm like, what do you mean figure it out? And he's like, well, whatever you need me to do, let me know, but just test some stuff out and let me know. I laid down that night and I was like, I got to pray about this. And I was like, God, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm heard or if I'm not heard. And when you're heard and you're answered, you get blown away. So I laid down that night and I was like, if there's a way to do this, please, like, God, help me find a way to do this. And I woke up the next day and I started trying some stuff and I started researching all these different products. And I found a product I thought would work. And this is where the story and the light really comes out. Is I was looking for product A as a helper for the bags to get them to stick and get the paint to work. And so I went to the store and I walked in the store, and product A that I was looking for was not on the shelf, but another product similar to it was in the next spot, product B. And I didn't do any research on product B. I didn't care. So I grabbed product B and then I looked around and I grabbed 2 or 3 other things and I brought them all off the shelf. And I got home and I started prepping the bags, and I started doing little swatches all the way around. Well, lo and behold, product B that was cousin to product A worked. Like it stuck to the bag. I could scrunch it. I could flex it. I could do things. And I was like, oh crap, this works. And the fact that the product I was looking for wasn't there, that's what blew my mind, is because I guarantee if I saw the product I went there to look for and it was in stock, I'd have grabbed that one product and I'd have left and it had failed. Because I know that product fails. I've tried it. Since then, and I probably would have quit right there. I probably would have stopped doing the bags altogether. I would have told the guy, hey, this isn't going to work. So that was a full-on answered prayer, and I found this product that I prep the bags with, and I paint over. And then I found a waterproof leather and textile clear coat that I put over the product that still allows you to spray it with the hose and do things. So if you want to look right here, this is my personal bag. This is what I carry around with me every day. I put on my camera gear. Like you can grab it, scrunch it, like you can do whatever you want. And then I'll put it nice and close so you guys can see it. Like that's still there. You can spray this with the hose. You can do whatever you want with it. And if that's not convincing enough, this bag's just over a year old. I can still do the same thing to it. I can still scrunch it. I can still do all it. It has a couple nicks from me like going through the trees and hitting stuff. Climbing through the woods to fish and stuff like that. So, dude, the fact that it sticks, it flexes, you can still spray it with the hose. It is what makes this possible and what makes it something I can charge for. So,
wow. That when I saw it on your website or at Facebook, that's exactly what I thought. Like, what's the lifespan of that and how well does it hold up? So that's awesome that you found something that can, that can work. And it's not anything. At first when you were describing it, I thought it was a different type of paint, but you're saying it's a prep and then a sealant. So I was going to say, how is it painting with the new material? But it ain't. It's the same paint, just a different way to secure it on there. That's killer.
Yeah. So what's really cool is this company reached out to me, the Alpha Flex company, and this is one of the companies that really supports what I do. They help me with product, but they help me develop and do things like that. So this is a leather and textile gloss top coat. Once this cures, it's waterproof. You can spray it with the hose, and it's specially designed for flexible leather surfaces. So most of the artists I work with paint on either denim, leather, they do shoes, they do purses and stuff like that. So that's kind of what like opened me up to doing the designer purses as well, and really kind of expanding my product line.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm on your Facebook page. I'm going to share my screen so that we can see up close. The video is a little grainy right now. Are you on your Wi-Fi or is it cell phone service that you're using? I
I'm
hated
on
it
my
that
I'm on my Wi-Fi. Let me check really quick. Yeah, I'm 100% on Wi-Fi. But I will say I'm 110% more active on Instagram than I am Facebook.
yeah, that
I
makes
just
sense because
cross both.
you're a
Yeah.
product that's absolutely designed for that. But I want people that are watching on the live stream and the replay to actually see like a really good quality of what you're talking about here. This is a Yeti. I'm sure you can see it here that you've
Yep.
painted on. Oh wow, extra
tough.
tufts.
Yeah.
Wow,
Oh,
that's
I'll have to
cool.
explain that.
Go ahead, go
That's
ahead.
That's the same guy who's like, "Hey, listen, paint my backpack." Now he's like, "Hey, do you think you can paint these boots?" And of course, he's always the first one to be like, actually, I take that back. He didn't ask me to paint the boots. Pecos Outdoors asked me to paint the extra tough boots, and then immediately after, my client was like, "You know why I'm texting you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Cool, I'm sending you boots right now." So he's like, he's the one guy that like anytime he contacts, like cuts the list. Like
Right.
nobody has priority like he does.
Yeah.
VIP.
He was the first turtle box I painted, I believe, or one of the first ones. Stuff like that. The purses, yeah. I didn't paint a purse for him. He's not into that.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe his wife, but dang, you know, you've done Louis Vuitton. I mean, that's what I'm talking
Yeah, that
about.
was a cool one. The first one I did was a lady had a diaper bag, and she says, "Hey, you know, I have a never full for a diaper bag. Can you paint flying fish on it?" And I was like, "It should work. It's the same process, you know, stuff like that." So
That's
yeah,
killer
those are
right
some
there.
older ones too.
Yeah. You might as well just keep
I,
that up, Jerry.
What is it?
Just keep that up so people
I
can see
will.
it. With your video, it's kind of you can't see what you're actually doing, but it is amazing work. Like that turkey you got. Turkey looks
Yeah,
so
awesome.
you
yeah.
guys
I can
can
go.
see you can see the coaster sets in there too. So like you can see over the years, like I've progressed and just done different stuff, you know, especially with 3D. Oh, the charcuterie boards. So those were fun. Those are all hand
That's
painted
cool.
sets.
Oh wow,
Serving board.
those are really cool, man. Those are really cool.
A
Um,
while to
I'm
do.
trying to find that turkey again, Joey. I know. Oh, look at
uh,
this.
Turkey's
Turkey's
gonna
at the
be
top. The permit. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. And I like you said, like they're like a puzzle. They go together once you put them all back
yeah.
together. That is
You could
killer,
put them on
man.
your table, and then everyone could have a separate coaster for their drink. I got chewed out by another artist for that. Like
Really.
hardcore. Yeah, there's another artist. I don't know where he's blocked me now, but like years ago when I first started doing the coasters, he lit me up like a Christmas tree and was like, "I have a copyright. You're stealing my work." And he does statues, like he does like mantle work, and he flipped a switch. And I'm like, "Dude, I'm making coasters." I was like, "Our only resemblance between your work and my work is the fact that it's a redfish tail, and you can't own that." So
Yeah,
I
that's
was
only
like,
been done. You know, yeah, really.
dude, it was wild. So I finally got to a point where I was
Very.
like, you need to have a nice day.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
That's killer.
J- Joey, how did you come across this? Because you set this up as far as his artwork. Like, how did it come
I think
through
it was
your
Cody
radar?
and Milton in the group.
Okay.
They found him and was like, "Hey, it'd be a cool show." And I was down in actually down in where we're at, West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
And yeah, with JJ. And then you're not far from West Palm, or you were coming in to do a live painting, right?
Yeah. So the first like year of doing the bags, I kind of wrote it off as a lost cause. I was like, Yeti, you know, even if they notice what I'm doing, they're a corporate company, they're not going to pay attention, you know, blah, blah, blah. And to my surprise, after doing a couple fishing tournaments and making some contacts, I started talking to a few people at Yeti, and they've been unbelievably supportive. You know, they help me with product, they help me with events, and then finally they asked, "Hey, you know, we've got an event coming up at Bass Pro opening in St. Augustine. Do you want to paint live?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I went out, paint live for that, had a great time, and then that led to them when they were opening their West Palm Beach store. They said, "Do you want to come out and paint live for that?" So I went down there. They put me up for 3 days. They gave me a bunch of product to paint, and I was actually taking live orders. I prepped a bunch of stuff before I went because the stuff I'm using needs 24 hours to cure before I can even paint. Um, so I brought a bunch of stuff already prepped and ready for paint. I took orders. I did like 4 sidekicks a day for 3 days and interacted with people and had a great time. And it was really cool. It was cool. It was for me to run out of social battery is hard. Like it was gone
Yeah.
after 3 days.
I didn't want to talk about. You didn't want to talk about fishing anymore after that, huh? You're done.
Yeah, you're like, I just need to decompress.
I was supposed to fish while I was down there. So my two buddies booked the same hotel as me, and they were shark fishing on the beach. They ended up getting like a 7 or 8 foot hammerhead while they were there. And they were like, hey, you're going to come down the beach. And I'm like, dude, I'm zapped. I'm not like, I never even made it to the beach. I was like, I'm sorry. You guys got to fish on your own. I'm dead.
And then it becomes work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he said he still enjoys it. And that's the most
enjoys it.
important.
Cool.
Yeah.
I do. I keep it creative. So that's the best part.
To your knowledge, are you the only one doing the Yeti bags like that, or the first, or how?
I don't know. I know there's other people doing the cups. I know there's other people doing the coolers. I know there's other people trying to do the bags. I wholeheartedly thought somebody else would have figured it out by now. Like I was like, I'm going to hit the ground running because I know as soon as I show what I'm doing, other people are going to try to do it. I just don't know if anybody's figured it out. And I haven't told anyone. My wife's the only person who knows how I do it. Like even when I get the product now, I won't buy it online because I don't want it to, like, I don't want anybody to know. And I'll drive to like other towns to get it just because I don't want anybody to recognize me, or I'll send my wife in to get it. And then I cut the labels off of it. So like, it sounds petty, but this has been happening since the beginning of art. So if I give you a little art history, if you go back to like Leonardo da Vinci or John Singer Sargent or any of these artists, they actually used to finish a painting. They would hide it for like a year or more so other artists couldn't come and smell their painting and figure out which oils or which solvents or which pigments they were using. So like this whole somewhat secretive thing, this is art history. Like I'm just playing the role.
So, yeah, dude, I respect that. Like you came up with a thing, and it's like, let's hold on to this as long as I can. I respect it, especially coming from the fishing community where it's like your spot and your numbers is the same thing, right? So everybody gets it.
It's funny because I talked to quite a few artists quite a bit. So like I think you guys know Stephen Farrell. Him and I talk quite a bit. He's super inspiration. Like the guy, he's got the market thing figured out. And if you guys ever get a chance, you want to talk to another artist on the podcast and hear a really badass backstory, this guy's got an awesome backstory, especially with his previous work. But him and I talk quite a bit, and I was talking to him, and he's like, "So how are you doing it?" And I'm like, "Dude, I love you, but I'm not telling you." And I was like, the only reason I'm not telling you is because everybody trusts somebody. So I trust you to tell you, but I don't know who you trust. I don't know, because once it's out, it's over.
Yeah.
So
like, take it to the grave. You got to take it to the grave.
Yeah. I would not tell a single person other than your wife. I would have been like, I don't know, honey, I love you, but damn.
I kind of feel bad about it because like there's a lot of animosity in the art world. There's always somebody who's, oh, you copied what I'm doing, or there's a lot of tension, right? And I always try to tear that down. So like I try to talk to other artists, I try to be supportive, I try to share their work, I try to give them insight on what I'm doing, but this is the one thing I'm not coming off of. Because I've experienced that. Like you get a message from another artist and they're like, "Why you're copying me?" You're like, dude, seriously. Like we're painting a fish's feature and a body type, so at some point we're going to cross paths.
That's all exactly. There's only so much you can do.
What's the process on those bags? Do they have to be new? I mean, I'm sure I can't beat it around for a year and send it to you, right?
No. So at this point, I am only accepting new product. The only used ones I've done are like friends and family or something like that. But here's the issue. If you take your bag out, let's say you've had it for a week and you took it on the boat and you accidentally spritzed sunblock on it or suntan lotion or grease or oil or whatever, and if you accidentally contaminated that voids everything I do. Like I can't guarantee that it's a fully clean surface and that what I'm doing is going to adhere. And it's still, like challenges with it. Like these bags, I think I've done over 200 bags now. I've had 5 items come back to me. One was a used item from a client that peeled and had an issue. I repaired and sent back, and I let them know. I was like, it was a used bag before I got it. That's what I can do, but it was just like a small corner. The other ones that I've had issues with is when they get frozen. So paint and glue don't like to be cold anyway. So like if you take these out and you you take it to the hunt stand in the morning and it's 22 degrees out and you sit out there in the stand for 6 hours and then you crunch it, it'll crack the paint and peel it right off. So that's kind of part of like me figuring it out and going, hey, yeah, I saw that happen. Let me take care of my client. I'll redo it. Don't worry about it. But in the future, if you take that bag out and freeze it again, that's on you. So like that's all part of like I have a product disclosure that lets people know. The only other issue I can't guarantee is like long-term UV exposure. So like if you decide to leave this on your boat and you leave it out there for 2 days and forget about it, that's on you, dude. Like I can't, I can't control things like that if you leave it in the weather. Now, if you take it out on the boat with you during the day and then when you get home, you clean it off and you spray it with like a very light detergent and some water and you treat it like you respect it, yeah, it'll last. It'll do really well.
That's sweet.
I'm just looking at that one over your shoulder. I don't know that if that was mine, I don't know that I would use it. I would,
that's what I mean.
I kind of like, I have a buddy of mine. He's one of the first ones that I had, and I fish with him all the time. You've probably seen him in some of my posts, but I did a bag for him and I told him right out, I was like, I want you to treat this as nasty as you possibly can. I need a benchmark. And he takes it to work with him on construction sites. He takes it on the boat. My other buddy that fishes with him ended up buying a bag from me later. And this guy's nuts. Like he walked into a bait shop one day and they were talking about it. He took his bag and slid it across the floor and then picked it up and showed it to him. And he's like, dude, face down with the art and everything. So no, I don't condone that. I'm not like, hey, beat up your bag. I want you to treat it nice, but there's a couple instances like my buddy's bag's been to Belize twice. He takes it to work every day. He sprays it with the hose, takes it on the boat. Like we've had it covered in blood from like fishing and stuff like that. So, they're doing really well. And that's the reason I'm able to sell them.
That's awesome.
I love it. Yeah. They're amazing.
Is that will you paint anything else other than a Yeti bag, like any of the other knockoff brands?
So I painted a fish pond bag, but I never posted it. And I've painted a couple of the designer bags and stuff like that. But the Yeti bags were kind of what built it. That's kind of what I committed to in the beginning. And then when Yeti started supporting what I was doing, I was kind of like, you know what, let me just show that same respect back and make sure I'm not accepting used items. I'm giving them sales by making sure it's a new item every single time. And I'm staying kind of faithful to their product. So, would I do it? Yes. Like I'd paint other brands' bags, but it's not something I'd post and share. I'm kind of staying loyal to what they're doing because they're staying loyal to me. So, and then the purses as well. So I don't know if you guys know about Dooney and Burke. They're like a small mid-price point purse company. It's not a Louis, but it's not like, your Walmart purse. It's a mid-price point. It's probably in the couple $100. They're nice purses. They do Italian leather and they do coated canvas and stuff like that. And I painted one for my wife and then painted a few more for other clients. I did some Mother's Day drops and they recently reached out to me and they're like, hey, we need to do a collaboration together, So sweet. I'm panning that out right now, seeing how that works. Cause that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, to me, it seems like the possibilities are endless when you're doing like this brand stuff, I mean, the extra tough boots that I showed a minute ago, like, holy shit, those are cool, man.
So those I'm still navigating. I've painted 2 pairs so far. I'm painting a pair for myself, and then I have a couple pairs here that Extra Tough sent me to work on. So I don't know because it's a completely different material than the backpacks. The first ones I did, like you could scrunch and do everything too, but I still need them on someone's feet, to do. So I've got a couple pairs out with friends right now. Like my really good client, he has a pair. I'm getting ready to do another one for a friend of his. And then my 2 buddies here that are with me that kind of like product test for me, they're going to be the next ones to get them and see how they work. And I mean, I don't have high hopes for them because it's a really like those boots are built to be not contaminated or like, it's they're to protect themselves. So we'll see how it pans out. I'm somewhat hopeful, but not 100%.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned you're very active on Instagram. Is that the platform that you're involved in the most?
Yeah. So Instagram has just been where I don't know, it's just been the most interactive for me. I'll paint live on Instagram once in a while. COVID kind of killed Facebook for me. And when COVID came out and everyone was posting their opinions and it was mile-long rants and it was just, this is going on, that's going on, I shut Facebook off for a few years and was like, I'm not going to sit here and watch this. I'm going to put my head down. I've got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of portraits to do. And I put my head to the grindstone and painted. And Instagram wasn't so much of that. Like, people couldn't put their rant on there. It was more
Yeah.
like, I don't know, it seemed like a more positive platform. And then just recently in the past few months, I picked up TikTok. I hate TikTok, but I'm there. I post to it.
I do too.
I let it happen. But it's the Wild West, man. So it's funny because like on Instagram, I'm really nice. Like, I try to be nice to people. I don't answer negative comments. Like, if people send me a stupid message, I'll just delete, block. Like, I don't have time for it. TikTok though, like, I had a few messages recently and I was like, it's the Wild West.
Go
I can answer
for it.
Here. Tick, 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 tick. And, you know,
Yeah.
Hammer
but
it.
yeah. So, and I'm trying not to do that now. I'm like, that's a waste of time. So.
Yeah, it's spoiler alert, Facebook hasn't really changed. It's just a
No.
lot more political now than it was even then. Or no,
It is.
yeah, it is.
But I
TikTok,
I cross post to it.
yeah, TikTok is man, it's got your brand written all over it. We have a buddy of ours who does smokers out of the Kill, Mississippi, and he was just like doing these cool TikToks, building these smokers, and he's got a ton of traction. And I mean, you said you paint live on Instagram. You could do the same thing on TikTok, and there's the financial benefits there because people can throw you, money while you're doing it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
I've got to figure that out and navigate it. I've painted on TikTok live twice now, and I've gotten tons of people in and out. Years ago, there was a platform called Periscope, and that was really cool because on Periscope, people would hop in and stay, and they would have conversations with you. Instagram's a little more fluid. They'll pop in, they'll say one or two things, and boom, they're out. TikTok, I've done it twice now, and I'm still kind of navigating that and figuring out whether it's like a people stick in your live or is it like a transient thing. So I'm going to navigate that and see if I can do it more.
You just got to grab them and keep their attention.
Yeah,
it's hard when you're painting.
Yeah.
True.
You got to do the Bob Ross with the happy little, trees over here.
No, he's like, no, we're not doing that. No, you do. You have to kind of engage with the comments while you're painting. We have another friend of ours that does. He has his camera kind of just set up while he's serving. He smokes meats. It's his brother to the other guy that I was talking about. So he's literally serving customers and then kind of talking to the camera and then back to the customers. Sometimes he ignores the camera for a while he's just serving the customer. It's really interesting to see, and he's developed a big following on TikTok as well. Another thing I can tell you, this program here that we're using, you can link a lot of that stuff together. So you could be live on TikTok, Periscope, which is now just X. That's what Periscope became. So you could be live on, which is what we are right now. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, actually LinkedIn, X, Rumble, and you could add TikTok on there as well. And all of your comments would come through, even in a cell phone style deal. So you'd have to run it off your computer, but you could still do it. So that's just a little bit of advice.
I'll have
there.
To pick your brain about that. That'd be really cool because I always have a hard time picking like where am I going to go live, I think I'm pretty good about interacting during it and like keeping an eye on the comments and talking to people because I know I can't have music in the background. Like there's things I can't do. And watching me paint is not fun. Like if you were to sit here and hang out with me while I'm doing my thing and I have my music on, you'd be bored out of your damn mind because it's just touch, one, back and forth. So interaction is the key.
The cool thing about the lives, especially on TikTok, the people play music on those all the time because once the live ends, it goes away. So there's no copyright to really work around. And on the live is where Joey and I, we've watched it before. We know some people that are really good at it. We don't even really do live on TikTok, but people just start throwing money at these people while they're doing these lives to get them to do something, whether it's like, hey, I mean, I don't know. You'd have to figure it out for your shtick, but like, hey, put a hook in his mouth. Here's $50, in the fish's mouth, and boom, you got $50 for just to do that and shout the guy's name out. It's weird, dude.
Yeah,
that's kind of scary. I don't want people.
Weird place.
It is.
It is weird place.
It is scary and weird and interesting all at the same time. So,
that's the Wild
Travis,
West,
man.
For sure.
Yes, it is. It is, dude. Thanks for jumping on here with us, man. We're big fans of your work over here in Mississippi. And y'all go check them out. People on the lives, the replay, the podcast. I'll have it tagged everywhere. We'll throw some clips out. It's on our end as well. Travis, sending people your way. But we appreciate your time, brother. The art is amazing. It's cool. I hope our wives see this and buy us one. That'd be cool as well.
Do you have any more live events planned?
So my next live event, I'm going down to Harry Goods in Melbourne. I'll be there June 28th, I believe. NLBN is putting on a seminar there. So they're doing tarpon fishing, tarpon leaders, how to rig baits. So I'm going to be down there for that event. I'm going to be painting live. I'll probably be inside because it's too hot to paint outside. And I'm probably doing a giveaway piece that'll coincide with that. So I'll be there June 28th. That's probably, I think it's like 11. I don't know. Check NLBN's page for all the details and Harry Goods page for all the details.
Sweet. If people want to book you, are you bookable like that for live events and live painting and stuff like that?
Yeah, usually just reach out for live events. And I usually try to stick like Florida, Georgia, you know, anywhere that's drivable. I don't mind driving up the East Coast and stuff like that. I don't mind doing events. But as far as like booking commission work right now, so like right now I'm pushed up into July. I'm slightly ahead of schedule, but I've moved all of my commission bookings over to like a less interactive website thing. So there's a form on my website that I will periodically open that you can request on there. But the only people who know when that page is open are the people who are on my email list. So I will send an email and say, hey, I just opened my books. The commissions page is now open. And from there, you can immediately navigate over and put in your request. That page explains everything I will and will not do. I won't do dogs. I won't do people anymore. I will branch out from fish and birds and wildlife and do other stuff, but I need to know what it is and clear it first because I'm not getting roped into doing stuff I don't want to do. I know it sounds stupid, but I've gotten to the point in my work where I want to paint what I'm interested in. I want to be creative and fun. So,
yeah, it's TravisLutherArt.com. Yeah, it's on
everything.
Your Facebook. Yeah. So if you want to check out his Facebook page, I just dropped a link here, but it like did the weird link. I don't know if that will take you to the website or not. I don't really know where that's going to take you, but I tried. But yeah, so reach out, get a commissioned piece, go check out his art, give him a follow on the socials, man. That doesn't cost a dime and that helps him out tremendously. So Travis, thank you for jumping on here with us, brother. We are big fans and we love what you're doing.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having me. I was pretty stoked.
Yeah.
All right, brother. You have a good one.
Yep.
You too.
Later
on. All right, man. Yeah, that dude, his artwork, it speaks for itself.
Go to his website. I know his video got kind of grainy there, and you couldn't really see the detail that he puts into that stuff. So go look at it for sure because it's sick. And the first time I saw it, I was like, dude, this is killer.
Yeah. My only concern was how does it hold up on a bag like that? And he sounds like he pretty much has it figured out. So it's definitely legit. I like those coasters, those redfish coasters. That is that's cool too. So but we want to thank everybody watching on the live and the replays and stuff. If you don't have the Brown Water Banter app, go download it now. All of our stuff is in there. You can stay connected to the show. You can watch all our YouTube videos right inside the app. There's a country music radio station. It'll connect you to our merch and everything. So and it's got all the tails and scales, tide, weather radar, everything for, you know, being out on the water or in the woods hunting.